Hey guys, so in this video, I just want to share real quick how to start your online business in 24 hours or less. And when I look back at my own experience, this is something that's really practical. I look back at the very first time I ever got fired from a job back in like 2014, and I was working in software development. And I decided after I got cut from my job, I decided, okay, let me build my own company, let me build my own business. And really, that's kind of how I became an entrepreneur, right? Somebody that has been very entrepreneurial, and is in many ways very entrepreneurial and super excited about business building and helping others build their own business and kind of grow on and scale. But the really neat thing that when I look back at that I did, not to toot my own horn, right? There was a lot of things I did wrong. Like I mentioned, I didn't know nothing about marketing. I neglected studying sales. I didn't know a thing about code calling or lead generation as a software developer. These were not things I thought were important. So, and that was a mistake, by the way. I should have learned marketing sales a lot sooner. But two things that when I look at that I did right was that one, I made the decision to go all in on myself anyway, and that was a good thing. Like deciding to take the risk, right? Of let me launch a business. I know next to nothing about business, but even if I don't know anything, let me go for it. I think there are a lot of factors that could have made me say, "Ooh, I don't know nothing about business. I'm not gonna do this." But instead, I actually went all in on that, and that started a journey, right, of growing as a businessman, as a business person. That was really neat. But the second good thing that I did there was that I didn't wait a long time. Like I decided, okay, I'm gonna do this business, and like I think within a day or 2 hours, I was up actually plotting and planning and kind of making my foray into my business, which I think is a really neat thing. By the way, like I think that was a good thing. So what I would say is in a lot of ways, a lot of people, you have the same thing, you have the same idea. You want to do a business, whether it's online or offline, or you want to build the next Amazon or the next you want to build the next McDonald's, or you want to build the next Tesla, whatever your business type that you want to build. But in a lot of ways, people will get stuck. We say, let me take the next 6 months to think of a great idea. Let me be like Newton and sit under the apple tree until ideas come to me. And that might be all great, but chances are life is just gonna move on whilst you're sitting under the apple tree and you're still thinking. You kind of need a sense of agency. You kind of need to do something now, even if you don't have the perfect idea. You kind of just need to get rolling, and your ideas are gonna improve down the line. But the minute you start moving and you start doing things, you actually put yourself in a position where you're actually making progress. When I look back at my own experience, if I had waited, like I had always been entrepreneurial. I think in my late teenage years, like I knew I kind of was interested in business in a big way, even though I didn't necessarily have like a lot of experience selling or marketing things. But my thought process back at the time before that, it always been like, I don't know, like maybe in like 6 or 10 years, I'll start my own company someday. So it was kind of like a someday I'll process. Um, but the really neat thing was actually, if I had waited that long to actually start my journey, then it means that all the last decade of business experience that I've had, I wouldn't have had. And I would only now be starting my very first business that 10 years later that I was thinking of. and I would know so much less about business. So I'd be like a decade behind where I am right now in terms of understanding the game. And the same thing applies to you. Like if you put this off, like I'm gonna find an idea in the next 6 months or in the next 2 years. You put that off for 6 months. You put that off um, for two um, for 2 years, guys. You're literally gonna be behind. In 2 years' time, you're literally gonna be 2 years behind where you would be if you just went all in on an idea right now and you just actually picked the first good idea that you can see in your own mind. So that's my advice to you. Don't put this off like I was trying to do back in the day where I was thinking, oh, I could do this like in 6 years' time. I'm having fun working in software development. And in reality, I had already learned probably most of what I was going to learn in software development anyway, which is a scary thought. Um, as a businessman, there's only so much improvement that I could get anyway in the role as a software developer to a certain extent, right? Like literally, the last decade of my life has been spent learning other skills that, in a lot of ways, are more important than software development. So chances are you've already learned as much as you need to do anyway in whatever you're doing, whether that's a full-time job somewhere, or whether that's assisting in some kind of entrepreneurial venture, like maybe it's like a family business, and so you've been learning, you know, or whether that's a trade, or whether that's you've been studying full-time, maybe you've been doing an MBA. Like in your first year of an MBA or the second year, whatever, that's why you kind of graduate after a year or two anyway, because there's there's a lot that an MBA teaches you, and I promote people doing MBAs. I think it's a great idea. But the reason why it's only 2 years or a year is that literally after a year or 2 years, that's pretty much all that the academic setting is gonna teach you. Now, if you want to keep improving as a businessman, now you actually have to go and do something in the real world and do something different, because by moving yourself from the academic space to the real world, now you're gonna learn so much more that the academic world knows they can't teach you. They're like, no, now you need to graduate. We've taught you as much as we could teach you. And in just 12 months, that's pretty much the time that it takes to learn a certain level of basic competency in a lot of skills. And in a lot of skills, you discover like that's pretty much all you need. Now the stuff that you need cannot be found necessarily in that environment. You kind of need to go out there and pick up additional skills on your own. And so that's why I'm telling you, like, go all in right now. Just pick an idea. Chances are you've already learned as much as you can in your current environment. So for you to learn the next set of lessons, they're literally gonna come from left field, from you being out in the market, actually trying to build your online business and making mistakes, tripping over yourself, making a fool of yourself like I've done so many times, and banging your head against the wall, and then realizing like, oh man, there's so much I don't know. And that's when you're really gonna be learning, and that's when you're really gonna be able to find the business success that you're after.